We are live. Hey, I'm your host, Sports Talking It, Adam McNally. We are gonna just bullshit for a little bit. Things don't always go according to plan sometimes, but I do still have one of my favorite guests. He's been off for a little bit, um, had some medical issues, and everything's doing better because obviously he's coming back to the show. So I'm really grateful for that. Very knowledgeable gentleman. Let's bring him right on. Let's go. Let's do this. My Green Bay
Hey
Packers.
Adam, how you doing?
What's up, buddy?
Just living the dream out here in Scottsbluff, Nebraska.
Oh, you're living the dream on what was that Monday or Sunday afternoon? You were living the dream.
It was a beautiful thing, wasn't it?
Well, I thought Green Bay was going to win that game going into Dallas. Um, I felt it was like a little bit of a revenge game against McCarthy. Um,
Yeah.
and once again, we're talking about Dallas.
When you look at it, we've actually won more playoff games in that building than the Cowboys have. So that tells you something right there.
You also won the big game in there that they could never win by beating the
Absolutely.
Steelers in 2010.
I remember that day.
In
I'm
the
sure you do
opening.
too.
Oh, I think I was the opening game in that building, as if I recall.
That could be.
I
If it
think that
wasn't, it was very early on.
I think that was the opening football game because I think
We brought bad weather that day too.
I think I got to
Yeah,
tour that.
I was hoping that the Packers would win, but I wasn't expecting to jump out 27-0 and just roll through the day.
It kind of got easier as like the game went on. It was like, okay, I can relax. There's no sweat going on. Um,
Hmm.
Obviously, the man cave shows what team you're cheering, what you're cheering for. Were you watching it in the cave, or were you watching it upstairs, or did you actually stop watching it for a little bit because it was the dominant game?
Oh no, I never stop watching if I have the opportunity. And yeah, I was watching here in the cave. This is my spot.
Yeah, your man cave is probably one of the best Green Bay Packer caves I've ever seen.
I did get a new helmet since the last time that you saw it. I
Oh
got a
yeah,
Ted Hendricks.
nice, nice.
Most people don't even remember that he played for the Packers.
No, I certainly do not. But you're a bigger Packer fan than me, obviously.
uh, he started out as a stork there.
Are you gonna try and go to any of these games, or are you just gonna watch from your man cave?
I'm just going to watch from here. That's too much money for me to try to make a journey like that.
Wasn't
I'm
sure.
doing good to get to Denver.
That's good. That's good. So go ahead, go over your thoughts. What were you thinking? How big of a play was Aaron Jones?
Aaron Jones is huge, and he has been for the last 4 weeks. He was injured a lot during the early part of the season, sat out a lot of games. We had to rely on A.J. Dillon, and AJ is a good player, but he is not Aaron Jones. And the Aaron Jones that we're looking at right now is it's like mid-season form Aaron Jones. And we haven't had that for a playoff run for a long time. He's usually,
You're looking at playoff Aaron
by this time of the
Rodgers.
season,
They have like 6 touchdowns in the last, or 12 touchdowns in the playoffs in the last 6 games or something. Isn't this stats
something like that.
ridiculous?
Yeah.
Playoff?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Um,
crazy what the guy does when he's healthy.
so Jamie and Joe, I was in on their show right before I jumped over to my show. They were saying that Love was almost a perfect passer rating on Sunday as well. Like
He had a
156.
perfect rating when they took him out, and then they brought him back in, and he threw one pass, and his rating dropped to 157.2. So
So
he
he
dropped
did
by a
have a
point because he
perfect
threw one
rating.
incompletion. But it's still the highest passer rating that any Packer quarterback has ever had in a playoff game.
And there's some pretty big company in that category.
We've had some pretty decent quarterback history, yeah.
Guys are like the Steelers only having like 3 coaches.
Yeah, but we do that with quarterbacks.
Right, right. What Favre, Rogers, and now hopefully this guy's going to carry the torch for how many years? Do you think 6, 7?
I'd say at least that. As long as they keep him upright and keep him happy. And it seems like he's going to be easier to keep happy than the last guy was. But, you look back at Packers history, we've played for 104 years now. And I want to say that 50 some of those years we've had a Hall of Fame quarterback between Arnie Herber, Bart Starr, Favre, and Rodgers.
Now, just curious, obviously I know, Mark, you followed them longer than I have. Oh, a little bit more in detail than I have. Was Aaron Lewis, or I mean, oh my gosh, Aaron Lewis, yeah, the lead singer. Was Rodgers the same way after his first year though? Not very vocal, just getting it down.
He was, yeah, he was. He was a lot easier to deal with when he first started becoming the starting quarterback. And I think part of that is that he had sat behind Favre for 3 years, which is basically the same thing they've done with Jordan Love. And
Right,
then
but
the
I'm
more the
saying, like,
Rodgers,
but you said that it hasn't been the same way, or I mean, it was like the same way as the last one. So what I'm asking is to compare year one and year one with the two quarterbacks, and do they have the same attitude at this point? Because at some point, Aaron Rodgers definitely took it into his own hands.
he started to become that like maybe year 8 or 9, where it was more, where you could see that it seemed like it was more about him. And I could be reading things wrong too, but the guy was a great player all the way through. And it seemed like he was always a team player, but there was always a little bit more that was about Aaron than there was about the team. And I think Love kind of, when you listen to him talk and you see some of the things that he does, I don't think he's going to turn that way, but you never know. I heard he was helping a college student get her car out of the snow on Thursday or Friday, something like that, trying to get her car started. And that's just, it's the kind of things that you don't hear about from the regular people.
Right, right. Obviously I did not hear that story. I'm sure that would have popped up on my timeline at some point.
And I think another thing that really impresses me about this team right now is the way that Matt LaFleur has handled things. When he's in the locker room and you see some of the speeches that he gives afterwards, that team is all in on what he's saying, and he's supporting the guys. You and I talked before the show about Luke Musgrave and some of the things that he did. Musgrave has had a little bit of trouble where he would catch a pass and fall down, just trip on the turf monster or trip on the 45-yard line, something like that. And one of the things that Matt LaFleur did in the locker room this week, after the big catch that Musgrave had during the game against Dallas, LaFleur was, yes, he was. But LaFleur was going through his list of players who had great games. And one of the things he said, it made him sound just like one of us, is Musgrave stayed on his feet. And there was just, the whole room was laughing about that.
I'm sure the locker room started laughing on that one.
Yeah. But it's the camaraderie. And this team is a team. They're a bunch of young guys that are coming in together. They're supporting each other, and it shows.
I feel that over time, you guys are going to have two of the best tight ends, just like that team in Buffalo with Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid.
Right.
I feel that maybe tight ends are making a little bit of a comeback.
And we drafted both of those guys this year. We drafted some receivers this year. Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs, they're the old guys in the room, and they're only in their second year. So
Christian Watson had a quiet year, but he was still dominant.
He was out a lot. He had a hamstring and a couple of back injury and
issues, right?
Some other issues, but just the way that this team has been able to work through that. There's so many guys that can do so many things, and it's like they don't even know it yet. You just throw them out there and say, "Hey, go do this," and they go do it, and they're getting the job done. And with as young as they are, they're going to be together for a long time doing these good things.
Like I said backstage when we were just bullshitting a little bit, I said, this is one of the first years that all the rookies had over 30 plus receptions. That's a remarkable thing.
Right.
And you're on a first year quarterback.
I want to say it's like 95% of our passing yards went to guys that were in their first or second year.
Yeah, you guys they always do it. I mean, look at what were we talking about? Jordy Nelson, Greg Jennings, and we still couldn't figure out who that other receiver was. But they did it back with that strand, we believe.
Yeah. But that was back in the days, Donald Driver, Jordy Nelson, Greg Jennings, and then you brought Devontae Adams into that group eventually. We've always had a strong receiver group. Hi, Jamie.
Oh, hey, Mark. How you doing?
Good. How about you?
Good.
But like I said, just being able to keep that core together is going to be great.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, if you want to, we'll take your thoughts on my show tonight. I know we gave your thoughts earlier on your show, but you can go through your thoughts. I mean, Mark's man cave is a lot like Steve the car guy. Mark's man cave is awesome, Jamie. I don't know if he would give us a quick tour or not, but his man cave is pretty much all Green Bay. It's awesome.
It's a little flustered up tonight.
A little clustered up tonight. We're not getting a preview. Got it.
Not tonight.
So, Jamie, what were your thoughts on that Green Bay game? Oh, we got a little view.
Hey, I give credit to the Pack. I mean, they were the first 7 seed to make history and eliminate the Cowboys again in the postseason. And I use the emphasis again, so that's the buzzword there. Aaron Jones was an absolute monster. I mean, I think he channeled his inner Christian McCaffrey a little bit in the playoffs. And the one thing I Mark, you may not believe this, but what I said on my show is I actually picked Green Bay to upset San Fran in San Fran.
Did you really? That'd be awesome.
Here's why. Because what do the 49ers do that they do really, really well? They play that, that typical Shanahan offense, where you mix the play action and you mix it with ball control and you just run the ball with McCaffrey, and then which sets up the pass and it sets up time of possession, so you consume like 8 or 9 minute drives like his father used to do, Mike with Denver, and you get a serviceable quarterback like how Mike had Jake Plummer to be able to run that offense for him, and Kyle's got Brock Purdy. So, but I also think Green Bay kind of they didn't copy that style, but I think they took some plays from San Francisco and they kind of ran that style against Dallas. So I feel like whoever can out-system that style better between the Packers and the 49ers will win that game. And I think the Packers have the playing style to be able to match the 49ers style with the way they run the ball with Jones. I just think both of their play styles are similar.
Yeah. It's going to be important to see who gets off to a hot start and is able to control the clock, what you're talking about. Kind of the way Green Bay did against Dallas. I was glad they took the opening kickoff and just marched straight down the field and just put it to them right away. That sets the tone right there.
Yep.
So, Jamie, did you guys go over all predictions?
Yeah, we did.
Go ahead. Let's hear them.
Okay, so for the Texans and the Ravens, I had the Ravens squeaking it out. I had it 27-24 or something like that over Houston, because I think Houston's going to play tough with CJ Stroud, but I think Baltimore finds a way to show why they were the number 1 seed and make up for why they lost to the Ravens why they lost to Tennessee in 2020 when they were the number 1 seed then. And then for the NFC game, Joe and I were split. Joe had Tampa winning over Detroit 24-23. I have Detroit winning 24-21. So in that game, we kind of have differences of opinion there. Let me see what the next NFC game is. That's not Green Bay and San Francisco. Right there. Yeah, it is Green Bay and San Francisco. Yeah. I said Green Bay would win that game, but I actually said 30-29 because the Packers can score a bunch of points like they did against Dallas. Who knows? I mean, and then for the Bills and the Chiefs, Joe and I both had the Bills squeaking it out by 3 because we take advantage of Mahomes going on the road for the first time in his playoff career.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that the AFC title game would be, if in theory, it would be Buffalo at Baltimore. That would be the AFC title game if you chalk that up. And then my NFC title game is Green Bay at Detroit.
And we've already won that one, so that'll be all right.
Yeah. I think the Lions are actually catching a lot of luck, though, because they're getting more home playoff games than they probably should as a 3 seed. With Dallas losing, they would have had to go on the road to Dallas.
Right.
And then the Super Bowl, I'll say Bills and Packers.
92, right?
And I think that'll be an
What's that?
interesting game.
That right? Wasn't that 92?
No, we never played the Bills.
Just like you said, the NFL, Adam, wanted the Cleveland Browns and the Houston Texans matchup. I think the NFL would like to see a Bills Packers too.
Oh,
I know Mark would like to see the Packers.
I would love to see the Packers in the Super Bowl again. The last time we won, we were a 6th seed that year and won everything through the wild cards.
Yeah. We won't talk about who you beat though, because this guy up here.
Oh, we've already talked about it.
Mendenhall dropped the ball and they won't call it a fumble.
Yeah, you know what? Let's not get into what Mendenhall wants to do now because that's too controversial. But
that was the fumble, buddy. That was the whole momentum of the game. That cost all the momentum in that game and gave it right back to Green Bay, and that was pretty much the end of it.
That's because Clay Matthews called for it.
I think it was as bad as you played in that game, Adam. It's the typical Steelers. You still had a chance to win that one at the end.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden Wallace and Holmes just I don't know what the hell they were doing. They couldn't catch a ball to save their lives.
Jordy, now what about Jordy Nelson? Remember he had a case of the dropsies too a lot.
He did drop a few.
Or what about Devontae Adams when he first came to Green Bay? Remember he couldn't catch anything to save his life, and look at him now. He had the Jerry Rice syndrome. Remember Jerry Rice had the same thing. He had paddle hands when he came into the league.
Yep. Yeah, sometimes it just takes a few. You got to have a few shots and get knocked down a few times.
One of my favorites coming in. I always liked Greg Jennings. He was one of my favorite wide receivers.
Then you had Greg Jennings. Then you had James Starks, the running back from UB.
Yeah, James Starks and Ryan Grant was important to us in the Super Bowl run too.
Bubba Franks.
Yeah.
He was a big tight end too.
What about Big BJ Raji?
That dude was how was he, like 396 or something?
Who was the other big guy you had? It was Ryan something, wasn't it? He was another big guy, remember? He was like BJ.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the guy you're talking about.
But he was another big boy too.
We're digging into Mark's bag of tricks here tonight. Yeah, you just had some dominant teams in the beginning.
You'd think we'd have more Super Bowls, wouldn't you?
Right. You sound like us. You sound like us, Mark. We had some dominant teams too. We just couldn't get the job done.
Oh, yeah. I got it. It was Ryan Pickett.
Oh, Kenny Pickett?
No, I was talking about Ryan Pickett.
Oh, no, Ryan Pickett.
He was the other BJ Raji, the other big hoss on your 3-4 defense with Dom Capers.
Yeah.
He was the big nose tackle.
Yeah, we've got a history of those too. Gilbert Brown, some of those guys.
Wasn't Gilbert Brown a Steeler at one time?
I'll have to look.
That name sounds familiar.
Called him the Gravedigger.
Do you ever get teased, Mark, that you're a Green Bay fan and your last name's McCarthy?
I don't think most people put that together.
I just did.
I know. Usually, if they do, I tell them it's my Uncle Mike.
I actually don't. My mom's a Cowboys fan, and this is actually the first time that we don't blame him for that game. I think it was Dan Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mark, you're a fan. Like, who do you blame? Do you blame McCarthy or do you blame Dan Quinn? Do you blame Micah Parsons for being completely non-existent? Do you blame Bland how they shut him out?
Well, here's what I said on our podcast and about Micah Parsons. He's great in the passing game, but they always take him out because he's not a very good run defender. That's his issue.
The reason that Michael Parsons was non-existent is because of Zach Tom. He was 0 for 9 trying to get pressure on the quarterback against Tom. And I think Tom had a 90-something PFF rating for the game. So they did a job on him.
The way you take Micah Parsons out, it's I was at the Bills Cowboys game when the Cowboys came to the Bills, and the way you take him out is the Packers did the same thing. They just ran it down the Cowboys' throats, and the Bills did the same thing with James Cook.
Mm-hmm.
Because Dallas's pass defense is good, but their run defense isn't that great.
I know our buddy Jason's wife's a Cowboys fan.
See, this is what people don't understand. People don't understand. Like, here's the thing. A lot of people don't think it's important to stop the run, but here's why. Because obviously everybody likes sacks, but sacks, that's the sexier of the two things is pass defense. Stopping the run is like the least sexy, but it's just as important because you can get a bunch of sacks on the quarterback, but if you're not stopping the run, there's no compliment to that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, the sacks is what gets you the contract bonuses and the big deals.
But the run defense is actually what wins you Super Bowls, actually.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I did look. Gilbert Brown never played for anybody besides the Packers.
Okay. I thought we had a Gilbert Brown. I don't know why.
It could be. It's a fairly common name.
We just dug through some history for you, Mark. We were like digging deep.
My favorite nose tackle
I'm all about
Teddy
the history.
Washington.
Yeah, he was good.
Because he was with the Bills.
He played for a bunch of different teams.
Yeah, the Bears, the Raiders for a little bit.
Wasn't he with the Niners and the Broncos too?
Yeah, he was on the declining Raiders team with I think it was with Kerry Collins at quarterback.
Oh yeah.
Are we talking about Jordy Nelson?
No, we were talking about Ted Washington.
Oh. Didn't Jordy Nelson end up like going on like a massive team run too?
Yeah, he went to the Raiders. I think he played with Devontae Adams for a little bit.
Yeah, he just went to the Raiders for the 1 year, and then he retired.
I think he joined Devontae Adams for that year, though, didn't he?
I think that was before Adams.
Yeah, that was before Adams was craving nacho fries in his home Taco Bell.
Right.
I thought Jordy Nelson was a little bit before Devontae Adams, actually.
Yeah, he was. He's back home on his farm in Kansas now.
Jordy Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
He was a son of a bitch.
We've had some receivers, I'll tell you.
He was one of Aaron Rodgers' favorite.
Oh, absolutely. He would be mine too. The guy, he just caught passes, and that's what he did. And the receivers for the Packers are always blocked too, so that's always been a help.
Speaking of Rodgers, do you think he returns to the Jets next year?
I think he's coming back. Yeah,
I do
I think he's been
too.
through too much this year.
Well, speaking of the Jets, did you see what Garrett Wilson did?
What did he do?
No,
He switched numbers to number 5 and said, "Let's get Devontae in here."
I'm glad they kept Robert Saleh. I think he's a good coach. It was the back end of this year wasn't really his fault. I like him.
And he's from. Okay, well, since we're talking coaches now, real quick,
He's from Kyle Shanahan's tree. It was Kyle Shanahan's.
yeah, do you guys feel that
Okay.
Kyle Shanahan is probably going to go down as like one of the greatest coaches of all times because of what he produces in his tree?
Where do you think he ranks compared to his dad?
Well, I don't know. I just started thinking about this the other day. I really didn't look into it, but I mean, Kyle Shanahan has has a pretty good coaching tree growing, and he's probably going to lose his offensive coordinator again this year. He's probably
Steve
gonna go to-
Wilkes. He might lose Steve Wilkes too.
yeah,
His defensive
that's
coordinator.
going to be 2 more coaches that could end up with head coaching jobs. Look at
Mike
Matt
McDaniel was part of Shanahan's tree.
LaFleur. I mean, look at how many coaches went to the playoffs off of that Kyle Shanahan tree.
Mm-hmm.
Got D'Amico Ryan
Pretty
still
good record.
playing. Got Matt LaFleur still playing. Mike McDaniel, you just mentioned, got beat, but he played. Yeah, Robert Shallow, like Jamie just talked about. I mean, he's got 4 coaches that are.
He was also at Pete Carroll's tree too. Robert Saleh with Seattle.
But Mark,
He's putting together a pretty good resume.
Where would you rank? Where would you rank Kyle Shanahan right now as that part of the coaching staff?
I'd say of the active ones, he's got to be right up there with the top. Him
In
and
terms
Andy
of
Reid.
turning out assistants and coaching too.
Yeah. I was trying to think back when Mike Holmgren was with the Packers. He had John
I know
Gruden.
he had a good tree.
Yeah, John Gruden, Steve Mariucci, and there's another head coach that was on that same staff that his name escapes me right now. But Holmgren, he kicked out some assistants that became really good head coaches as well. But yeah, Shanahan's really done a good job, and his dad always did that same thing.
Yeah, I need to look into that one and find out. I don't even know where to look for that. Actually, I don't even know if that's like a stat or a thing to look at. Need to look up Mike Shanahan's coaching tree. Maybe we should do a show on this, and we could all like come up with and talk about it.
Come up with our own coach and defend our tree.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we'll like draw straws.
There you go.
So far, McDermott's got one guy.
And who would that be?
Who is
Dable.
that? Oh,
Dable.
yeah. That's not a real strong.
Could have
endorsement
another
right now.
one. Could have another one too, but I don't know if he's going to get hired. Did you hear? Leslie Frazier's interviewing for head coaching jobs.
See, that's one where you got to look and see how far up the tree you got to go, because Leslie Frazier has been around for a long time with a lot of different people.
Right.
I think Kyle Shanahan, though, like I said, like he mainly brings in his guys.
All right, let me run down Mike Shanahan's coaching tree. We got Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel, Matt LaFleur,
Yep.
Gary Kubiak,
Gary Kubiak. Yep.
Sean
Now,
McVay.
Is that a Kyle or Mike?
This is Mike.
What's that? This is Mike's.
Kyle's on there, obviously.
Right. Anthony Lynn.
Anthony
Kevin
Lynn.
Stefanski. Yeah, Kevin Stefanski.
Stefanski.
Arthur
Yep.
Smith.
Arthur Smith, who just got fired, but that wasn't all his
coordinator.
fault, though, I don't think.
No. For coordinators, you've got Mike LaFleur and Bobby Slowick, who's up for some current jobs.
Mhm.
So that's just Mike's tree.
Yeah.
So none of these head coaches are coming from Cal at all.
Sort of, but it all started with Mike, though.
Before he got fired, Kenny Dorsey was actually part of Kyle Shanahan's tree too, with the Bills, I think.
So where did Cal coach with all these guys? I mean, Mike.
Between the Broncos and the Redskins.
Well, obviously, look at his son. His son's a world beater now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember doing a show with Gina.
Gary Kubiak. Gary Kubiak had two separate stints with the he was with Houston, and he didn't really do much there. And then he went to Denver and won a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. So
Remind me that I'm an idiot, Adam. The other head coach under Mike Holmgren was Andy Reid.
oh yeah, Andy Reid.
How do we forget that one?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think
Andy
it's
Reid,
amazing.
John Gruden,
Like
and Steve Mariucci.
Andy Reid went from like 0 in Philly to hero in Kansas City, you know, because Philly fans, typical. I remember these are Philly fans, obviously, but I remember he was hated in Philly, and now he's loved in Kansas City because he's got Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Andy Reid was really hated in Philly.
In Philly, they booed him a lot in Philly.
He just never got him over the hump. That was the only problem there. He always got him right to the ledge, but never got him over the top.
He got the typical Philly booing treatment though.
I mean, you're talking about a city that burned itself down for winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but you also know that, Adam, with Philly fans, if you don't get the boo treatment, you're not coaching there.
You're not respected.
They booed Mike Schmidt.
If you don't get the boo birds there.
They booed Sidney Crosby. Because he's
They
one of the
booed
best
Mike
players.
Schmidt when he was a Philly.
Or what about Donovan McNabb when he got drafted?
Mm-hmm.
They were so upset at that pick. Does anyone remember that pick?
Well, no, it's because they wanted Tim Couch. That's why.
Timmy,
Yeah,
one
how'd that
day
work out?
Same thing with the Indy fans. They booed Peyton Manning because they wanted Ryan Leaf.
How'd that turn out, too?
Yeah, that turned out okay.
Although if you actually look at Ryan Leaf now in terms of his life, he actually says he's sober now and he's got his life turned around. He's a sports analyst now.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of work for ESPN.
Sports analyst. Yeah. I was gonna say that. I think he does ESPN sports analyst.
He fills in for Rich Eisen sometimes too on his show.
No, but he's got his life turned around since then, though.
Yeah.
I still think
Eric's in a much better place.
Eric Crouch, the one day of practice, and he said, "I'm done." He got to use
what about the draft interview where they asked if you were the number 1 overall pick, what would you do? And Peyton Manning said, "Well, I would practice during the week. I would work hard and I'd study hard." And Ryan Leaf said, "I got to be honest, I'd go to Vegas and we'd have a week in Vegas."
Mm-hmm.
That was a red flag right there.
I guess this is another conversation that came up. What about Marvin Harrison saying, if the Bears are going to draft me, I'm not going to go?
The mocks right now got him going to the Patriots at 3.
I don't think he's going to want to go there either.
But why? Because without Belichick?
No, he wants to go to a contender. Like,
yeah, but when you're getting drafted high, that's not usually in the cards for you.
Yeah, but you don't. He could go to the Bills. The Bills have all this draft capital that they could trade up to get him. They got 10 draft picks for this year. The Bills do.
Like, I don't think Caleb Williams is going to be a number 1 pick. I would not want this guy on my team.
Why not?
I mean, why wouldn't Caleb Williams stay in college for another year and make $15 million on the nail? Like, you're not gonna make that
True.
in the NFL. Stay in college for another year, dude. Go
Yeah,
after
because of the rookie contract, the rookie salary cap, you're not gonna make that much. Brock Purdy right now is only making 800,000.
right. Like I just said, he's gonna make 15 mil on the nil if he stays another year in college.
Hmm.
I mean, why wouldn't you want to stay in college and make 15 mil?
I agree with that.
And you know, get your shit back in order and make yourself a #1 draft pick. I mean,
But if
after
you're the
that,
number one
Notre
draft
Dame
pick, you're
game,
going to.
I don't agree with the Bears actually taking him #1 overall because obviously you say what you want about Justin Fields. Okay, he was 3-14 in
traded him.
Eberflus's first year, but then Eberflus went to 7-10 in his second year. So,
Mark, you're more of a college guy. What do you think on all of this?
Well, the thing is, when you go to the NFL, you're going to get endorsement money too. So it's not just the salary that you're looking at. You got to weigh it in both directions.
but do the Bears?
And
Here's
you're
what
gonna
I
start
think. Do
making
the
your money
Bears
earlier.
really think that like they were like I said, they were 3-14 and 7-10 the past 2 years with Fields, and obviously some of those games were Tyson Bagent this year, but and Eberflus, he's starting to rekindle the narrative. He's starting to build that tough Chicago Bears defense again. Do they seriously think that by drafting Caleb Williams, they're gonna go 11-6, 10-7, or 12-5 and make the playoffs? When I think they can do that with Justin Fields after they improved in Eberflus's second year.
It all depends on whether the Bears think Fields has got it or not, and I don't know that they do.
Well,
I think he started out rough, but then I think he grew up though. I think he was starting to get a grasp of the offense like before he got hurt. And then he played well at the end of the year.
Reports out of Pittsburgh are saying that the Fields is possibly going to be traded to the Steelers, but we'll see.
For what?
That's the question.
A second or third round pick? I don't know.
Second round pick, and Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion about where Fields is going to wind up.
I mean, if they're talking about trading him, who needs a quarterback?
Like I said, I would just be careful if I were the Bears because you're making steady improvement record wise each year with Eberflus, and I don't want them to make like one bad decision that's going to screw that up. I know you're a Packers fan, Mark, but still, I'm saying objectively.
But that's what the Bears do. That's what they're known for. They haven't been able to get a solid quarterback in there, whatever. And they make bad personnel decisions.
Even though, like I said, even though the head coaching record improved in year 2 under Eberflus, because like I said, he was 3-14, but then he went to 7-10 in his second year. And he's building a deep. And when he took over the defensive play call, he's building a good defense over there too now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they proved that defenses do win Super Bowls. I mean, besides Walter Payton, who else was on that offensive team?
The Fredge.
Yeah, but that was defense.
They used him on offense, though.
Well, yeah, he scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, but he was
hard to tackle and he had quick feet.
That was Mike Ditka's one regret. He didn't get the ball into Walter Payton's hands for the Super Bowl touchdown.
Yep.
No, because the Fridge was hard to tackle and he had quick feet for his size.
He gave the Fridge from a yard out.
A lot of people don't understand. Yeah. He had quick feet for a guy that big, though. The Fridge.
Sure, like what other wide receiver? Can you name any of the wide receivers that Jim McMahon was throwing the ball to?
Didn't they have Willie Gault?
I don't know.
He was basically a fly pattern waiting to happen, but he wasn't a real quality receiver.
Right.
He was just a deep threat.
Like you can name more of that defense than you can the offense.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
That Patriots team that year was a Cinderella team too. They were the I think they were the 6th seed. They were the last seed
They had no
in
business
the
being
AFC playoffs, and they had to win all 4 on the road just to even get to the Bears, and they did.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been there at all.
No, but they got lucky because they beat. You know who they beat? They beat the Raiders, and that's when they had Marcus Allen that year.
The
They
Patriots
beat the Raiders in the playoffs that year. That Patriots team did.
had no reason being in the Super Bowl. I thought with whenever they played Green Bay either.
How do you think the Raiders would have done against that Bears team, though? Even though the Bears were so dominant on defense, because the Raiders did have
them.
Yeah, but the Raiders did have Marcus Allen, though. That's the thing.
But you look at who they played against. They played against the Rams had Eric Dickerson, and the Cowboys had Tony Dorsett at that time. So I don't think they were afraid of Marcus Allen either.
Yeah. But I think that would have been a better matchup than the Patriots. So
could be.
At least I don't think it would have been 46-10. It probably would have been closer.
No, I was thinking like, what, Jamie? Have you gone to many baseball games or football games or anything like that?
The Bills, actually, the Bills. My dad used to have season tickets with. He had them through Nestle's, and then he did a lot of promotional stuff with them. And now we do suites and club seats every year, once a year. Why do you ask?
I was thinking like, what was your biggest moment that you can remember from a kid being at a game?
Let me think. What can I remember as a kid?
Or, what was your biggest moment you've been to? Like, what was something that really just stands out? Mark, I'm going to ask you too, obviously.
Well, see, when I was a kid, they were going through the 17-year drought, obviously, during that time. But I actually do remember watching Trent Edwards win his first start. Or I actually watched J.P. Lossman and Trent Edwards win their first starts as QBs for the Bills before they fell apart live.
Mark?
Well, if you want to go with first,
anything. Like, doesn't matter. Like, I'm looking baseball, hockey, whatever.
Right. If you want to go with first starts, I was at Jay Cutler's first start for the Broncos, for what that's worth. But probably the biggest game that I remember going to was in 1995 in Denver, the Chiefs and the Broncos playing in a blizzard. And in that game, the Chiefs had Joe Montana, Marcus Allen. The Broncos obviously had John Elway. And Marcus Allen scored his 100th career touchdown in that game. So I think that's probably the biggest one that I've been to personally. I've been to a hockey game where Joe Sakic got a hat trick. So yeah, that's my biggest memories from games that I've attended live.
Speaking of hockey, I don't know if you guys can see this. I have a flag over here. It says the towel, rally towel over here. It says the seventh. It says the seventh man on it, and that was the night of August or April 8, 2011. The Sabres clinched the playoffs.
You're gonna have to move the camera
by beating the Flyers.
James, you're gonna have to move. There you go.
All right, wait. I'm gonna have to take my charger thing apart to do it, but see it right there. It says seventh man.
There you go. Cool.
And I kept the ticket too. 4-3 Sabres. It was wild because all the Sabres had to do that game was get a point, and they didn't even have to win in overtime to clinch the playoffs. And they got the point, and the whole arena went nuts. And then Thomas Vanek scored the game-winning goal, and they won in overtime, and it was even greater because they already clinched the playoffs against the Flyers and to win it in overtime. That's the last time the Sabres actually made the playoffs to this day.
They've had a rough go of it.
They're still trying to figure. I like Don Granato though. They're trying to get back there. I mean, they got the youngest. This is the second year in a row they got the youngest team in the league. So it's going to still take some time to build it back up.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good thing though in hockey.
What's yours,
You
Adam?
got a young team.
I have for hockey, I got to see Malkin's first goal against Marty Brodeur in his first game. That was pretty neat.
Cool.
Marty Brodeur.
I got pulled out of school probably 4th grade. I'm not sure the year, but it was either 3rd or 4th, and my parents snuck me out and took me to a ball game, and I was a row away from Mike Schmidt's 500th home run. That was pretty
Awesome.
neat. I'm back when the Pirates were good in 92, in the 91, 90-91. I guess it would have been 91 spring. I remember it was 2-0 Pirates, and Lenny Dykstra hit a shot over the left field wall, and it tied the game at 2. But the crowd was going nuts, absolutely ballistic, and I just remember Bobby Bonilla looking around, going, "What the fuck is going on?" And they showed the Penguins score, and it was 6-0. It was the night we clinched the cup.
Awesome.
And so yeah, that was pretty neat. And then I did go to the I went to the airport that night with my parents. Got to see the cup come through, and we made it up to where they got off the plane. They actually got off the plane in the old airport and walked through the terminal.
This was 90 what? 1 or 2 was it?
First cup, 91.
90 what? That was with Mario, obviously Mario Lemieux.
Mario Yager.
Yager.
Yeah, that was
Johan Hedberg is the goalie.
No, Tom Barrasso.
Oh yeah. Johan Hedberg was later.
Yeah, way later. I think he was in late 90s, I believe, James.
Yeah, he was.
But
Marty Straka was late 90s too.
Straka was shit. I love that kid.
Huh?
But yeah, that was just a couple of my. I'm sure I have many more. I got to see. I also got to see. What's the kid up in New York? Jamie, what's your pitcher that you stole from us? Eventually.
What'd you say?
What's the pitcher you guys got from that started out as a Pirate?
Oh, Clay Holmes.
No. What the hell? Mark, what's his name? He's your number one guy.
Because Clay Holmes was with Pittsburgh, and then he went to
your number one pitcher. Who's your number one pitcher?
Oh, Garrett Cole.
Yeah, Garrett Cole. I got to see his first pitch in the major league.
Cool.
He won the Cy Young with the Yankees this year.
Yeah, I wanted to talk. Yeah, the Pirates signed Martin Perez, and I have no idea why.
Pirates are like, okay, this is the 3rd year we're going to be the youngest team in the league.
38 years old. He only got over 500 in his career because he went 10-4 last year with the Rangers. I mean, he won a World Series, but he went 10-4 with a 4.87.
Is he just a stopgap guy to like groom the young guys? You think?
I don't know if I'd really want my young guys to get groomed by this guy.
He could be a bridge guy or a stopgap guy.
I have no idea why the Pirates signed him. I'm so confused. This is why I wanted Mike McHenry on this show tonight. I wanted to find out. Because we also signed Jake Lamb, who's like 36. Why
he's still playing?
Yeah, I didn't know he was still playing either. I'm like, why are we signing?
You got to add veterans when you got a young team.
It just made absolutely no sense whatsoever at all. But
somebody's got to have a plan.
Right. I guess. Any other big news coming out of your camp, KC, there or in New York?
No, I just got some news. The Bills just cut Leonard Fournette from the practice squad.
Mm-hmm. Saw that earlier today.
I'm a little surprised. I wanted to see playoff Lenny in action, because we're in the playoffs. It never happened.
They've got too many good backs for that to happen.
James Cook's pretty good.
I know, but he
Yeah.
he was good at the tush push too. You see the Bills are running that now too.
It's hard to stop.
They're doing the tush push now. Josh Allen.
It's hard to stop. Even
Yeah,
though they
do what
don't
the
look very
Buccaneers
good
did.
at it.
Or the Commanders did earlier in the year. They stopped against the Eagles.
Wait, someone did stop it?
Yeah, the
Buccaneers
Bucks
stopped it
did. They
last
were
night.
going for the tush push on a 2-point conversion, and they didn't get it last
I thought
night.
they did. Yeah, but that's not a 1 yard gain. We're talking okay, well, this stat needs looked at from 1 yard versus 2 yards, because don't you start on the 2 whenever you're going for a 2-point conversion?
They had it on the 1 because of a penalty.
Oh, and
Yeah,
they stopped it.
Yeah.
Now, do they
And that
count
would've
that as
made
a
it.
stop because the 2-point conversion don't count towards anything?
Everybody's calling it a stop. I call it a stop. And at that point, it was big in the game because it would have made it 16 to 11. But instead, it stayed 16-9, and I don't think Philly ever recovered from it.
I don't think Philly ever got off the plane.
Not really.
They look awful.
the good
But,
news is I could confirm. There was some woman wrote an article in the NFL saying that there was rumors that the NFL was going to ban it, and Troy Vincent already said we're not banning it because that play's evolved. And he said that article was false.
Figure out how
Yeah.
to stop it.
Right.
That's how you get this play to stop working. You stop the run.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing happened with the Wildcat. Everybody wanted to ban it until somebody stopped it, and then it stopped itself.
Mm-hmm.
Right, now you see that weird forward pass on the tight end running in front. And they don't call it a
Yeah.
sweep. They call that one a pass, but they call the other one a sweep. It's so
Actually,
weird.
the only time you see the Wildcat now is in college.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Wait, wasn't it run this weekend?
Somebody did, but
Someone
can't
did,
remember who it
yeah.
was.
Because the running back took a snap.
Did
Yeah.
you see what Kansas City did with their own version of the tush push? What they did against Denver? It was on the Amazon Prime game. They put Noah Gray, one of their tight ends, at quarterback, and they pushed him over. So they did a tight end tush push for the first down where he was the quarterback.
You're not stopping that. That's another big tight end. Speaking of duo tight ends, Noah Gray's gonna be a threat here. He's working on it.
Yeah, he is. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Philadelphia with Kelsey retiring.
Noah Gray's actually got a faster 40 time than Travis Kelce does.
Now the
Imagine
question
that.
is, if Travis wins a Super Bowl this year, does he retire with Jason so they walk into the hall together?
That could be interesting. Just dance off into the sunset together.
Right?
I always said they might not need Travis Kelce anymore because, like I said, Noah Gray's coming into his own.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting questions, but who knows what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mark, I know we said we were going to talk baseball tonight, but we didn't do a whole lot of it.
Well, that's okay. We talked some football. We talked a little bit of baseball. We got some stuff in.
Oh, that sticks. I had some Yankees stuff.
Go ahead, James. Go ahead, James. Release it.
Okay, so this is an article from SB Nation, and it's talking about Marcus Stroman signing and its impact on payroll and future additions. I think it's I actually think it's a decent payroll because I think they paid him for it was 6 years, $33 million. I think it's a good thing because right now they got him penciled in as the number 3 in the rotation, and they already spent $33 million on Juan Soto, who's a hitter. So I like that because it still will allow them to call up some pitchers from AAA if they need to.
Mm-hmm.
And what they were also able to do was they re-signed Luke Weaver to a cheaper deal. And even though he's 30 years old, and they're saying that was just as impactful because he's a guy that right now they got him in a swing role as the number 6, so he could come in as either a guy off the bullpen or be a starter in the rotation should there be an injury. And then I have, let's see right here. I have a little nugget of history right here. This is from X.
You have a quiz for us already?
Yeah, this is a little nugget of history from X. I said today in 1974, New York Yankees legend Mickey Mantle is elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility with the Writers Club there voting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would assume Mickey Mantle was going to be a first-time ballot Hall of Famer.
Him and Whitey Ford actually got inducted that same year. Whitey Ford was his teammate.
Whitey Ford, wasn't he the only pitcher to throw a no-hitter and lose?
I think
In the
so.
World Series?
No, the only World Series no hitters have been winners. Don Larson and what's his name that just did it a few years ago.
Right, but I said the lose.
Nobody's
and
ever lost a
I
no-hitter in
also
the World
think
Series.
Stroman's an important signing because they already they needed depth at the pitching because they gave up a lot of pitchers to get Alex Verdugo and Juan Soto, but they absolutely needed those 2 guys to upgrade at the center position or at center field and right field too.
Are you researching that, Adam?
Yeah. Are you?
No.
So, Adam, were you just joking about the field passes with Mia Joe, or were you serious about that?
About what?
You said you were going to try to get Mia Joe field passes, or was that just a joke? Or not field passes, press passes.
Yeah, I need to figure out how to get this production into the press conferences, into the press room, so we can be a little more out there.
Okay. Let me know if you try to figure it out.
Oh, don't worry. I'm looking into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Don Larson has the only complete game no-hitter in the World Series. The Astros had that combined no-hitter.
What was that, the ALDS?
No, that was
You saw what they're doing with the pitch. You guys are seeing what they're doing with the pitch clock, right?
No, what's the new rule?
It's obviously not for it's still gonna be on 20 seconds for like regular pitches, but they wanna shorten it from 20 to 18 on like pickoff plays and everything like that.
The only other postseason no-hitter was Roy Halladay against the Reds.
That was the ALDS, right? Or the NLDS.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Roy Halladay.
Right.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember how he passed. Didn't he get into a car accident or something?
He was a plane crash, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, plane crash.
Well, Adam, I'm looking at my battery life, and I'm down to 10%.
Roy Halladay was my favorite MLB The Show pitcher. The game MLB The Show.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Mark, we're up on an hour. let's wrap this up. Guys, it has been fun talking for my first show of 2024.
Congratulations. Glad to
I'm
be part
Pleasure
of
to
it.
be on, Adam. Thank you and congrats. I'll do my
Wait.
Pat McAfee clap.
Mark, I'm glad you are back to not being in the hospital anymore. That's a great thing too.
Oh yeah, dude,
It's always
I'm
a
sorry.
bonus.
I'm sorry
like-
about that, Mark. I didn't hear about that.
Not you instead of hearing you're laying in a damn hospital bed and can't come on a show.
Yeah, that sucks.
Glad you
do
feel
what you
better
gotta
though,
do.
whatever happened.
It's been some kidney stone issues.
Oh,
Yeah, not pretty. But
Well,
Mark,
thank you.
how people get a hold of you, buddy?
I am on X at Packer, Nebraska, and you can reach me there. Or if you have Adam's contact information, you can reach me through him as well.
Already, all right, James.
yep. Well, and as always, you can find me, yours truly, at Jamie Malloy, or at on Bill's chat, one at Bill's Mafia chat, and at Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist, at DJ Dog Tags on Twitter X. And then you can also find me here every Tuesday night on Driving to the Top Productions, where I do an NFL podcast called the Buffalo Sports Conversation Room. I just did an episode 2 hours ago with one of our fellow people, Joe Dalio, who we know on this channel. So unfortunately, Joe couldn't make this episode, but he's going to try to make the next episode. So yeah, you can find me Driving to the Top Productions there every Tuesday night at 8:00. Tune in on StreamYard to listen to that. And then you can also find me at DefiantTakesFootball.com, where I'm writing stories about the Bills, Syracuse football, and spring football.
Yeah, we got to talk to Evan about spring football.
Exactly.
Sure. Mark, James, thank you very much. I am at Sports Talking It, and you can find me on the X, Twitter, formerly Twitter. People write that now. I still want to say Twitter for some reason. I know it's the X.
So do I.
We all do, Adam.
But
Yep.
it just happened. So we got me there. You can find me at Driving to the Top Productions on YouTube, Driving to the Top on the X. You can get me there too. Adam McNally on Facebook. And yeah, thank you for joining in. And let's do it again, kids.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.